he did was take a long lead-off third. And he shook up the pitcher so badly, he couldn't concentrate. So on the next pitch, the Dodgers got a short hit, and the Phillies grabbed the ball and fired it for home plate. Robinson charged for home, and he was safe. The final score? Dodgers 1, Philadelphia 0. Robinson had beaten Philadelphia in its own park, and everyone knew it was Robinson who had beaten them. Robinson was hit by pitchers 6 times in 6 weeks, and that was a record. Now, when Philadelphia came to the Dodgers field later, it was a real grudge fight. And this time, Robinson launched a war of nerves on the Phillies pitcher, which shook up the whole team. From his very first hit, he stole bases until Leonard, who was again the pitcher, was half crazy. So he topped it off then with a homer. Score, Dodgers 5, Philadelphia 3. Now that game turned around a losing streak and put the Dodgers in the lead for the pennant for the very first time in their history. And Robinson had done it. And after that, the Dodgers went on to clinch the pennant. And as they went into the World Series, Jackie's season-long box score was his defiant answer to every insult. He played 150 games, had 125 runs batted in, 174 hits, and 12 home runs. Sports writers had no choice. He was named Rookie of the Year. But in my book, his greatest tribute happened on September 23rd of that year. Because as they went into the World Series, a brand new relief pitcher walked to the Dodgers mound. His name was Dan Bankhead. And when the new pitcher walked to the mound, there was not a ripple of special interest, not a catcall, not a boo, not a riot, not one insult from the opposing bench. And Dan Bankhead was black. Well, for 10 years, Jackie Robinson was one of the most exciting players in baseball. He was tough, daring, aggressive, the unchallenged leader of the Dodgers. He proved that performance was the answer. Whenever a black man could outperform the competition, he could go to the very top. And Jackie did, right into the Hall of Fame, in this number 42 shirt. Suddenly, baseball filled up with black players on most every squad. Nowadays, you'll find 10 or 12 black players on every team, and they followed Jackie into baseball. But far more important, Jackie started a major migration, because thousands of black men and women who had watched Jackie crash his way into baseball now followed his number 42 into law, into medicine, business, politics, and government. They had seen a fantastic example. Don't waste strength with jawboning. Beat their brains out with the score. Well, that's a great formula for winning. Anything by anybody of any color, wearing any kind of a jacket. We talked with Howard Cosell, the famous sports commentator who knew Jackie personally.
I grew very friendly with Jackie Robinson through the years. He lived just 7 minutes from me up in the country. He in North Stamford, Connecticut, and I in a little hamlet in northern Westchester called Pound Ridge. We would drive into New York together many days. We would play gin rummy together, and he was a very bad gin rummy player, which infuriated him. As a baseball player, he was extraordinary, but the public never saw the real Jackie Robinson. I consider it quite possible, indeed, in my mind, probable, that he is, to this moment, the greatest all-around athlete this nation has yet produced, including Jim Thorpe, because of what he did at Pasadena Junior College, at UCLA, in so many sports, track and field, and basketball, and football. He came to the major leagues late, too late, really, to show the transcendental skills that were his. His legs were his trademark. The most exciting thing, I think, in my lifetime of watching baseball was to see Jackie Robinson use those legs in a rundown. It would seem he would become circumscribed by the 9 opponents, and still they couldn't get him out. He would escape one way or another. But you see, the real measure of Jackie Robinson was in life itself. The most malignant form of diabetes known to man. Watching those legs gradually become crippled. The way he lived his life. I never heard him say I. In his whole lifetime, I never heard of Jackie Robinson say I. It was always we. Because without Rachel Robinson, Jackie was nothing, and he knew it. She's one of the most attractive women I've ever known. A fine mind. She was an associate professor of clinical psychology at Yale. She was really radiant until ravaged by the flow of events. She's still a most dignified and attractive woman, but beautiful no longer. I watched Jackie cope with that diabetes. I watched him with his oldest son, Jackie Jr. He used to say to me, "Oh God, why did we ever call him Jackie Jr.?" He said it because from the beginning, from the time Jackie Jr. was old enough to understand, people would beset him. You're going to be like your father. You're going to be like your father. It took its inevitable psychological toll. Jackie Jr. rebelled, got into bad habits, reformed, fought in Vietnam, like so many others, became a drug addict, beat that, and then was working to help other addicts when tragically he died in an automobile accident. By this time, Jackie had grown old and white. He could hardly walk. He watched a teammate die who meant a lot to him, Gil Hodges. I'll never forget the day at Gil Hodges' funeral. How all of the old great ones came in. Pee Wee Reese and Carl Ferrello, Campanella in a wheelchair, and the youngsters of Brooklyn. There were about 2,000 around the church. Didn't know any of them. And suddenly Jackie Robinson arrived, supported by the arm of Ralph Branca. And you would have thought it was 1949. And Jackie Robinson was the most valuable player in the National League. The kids knew instantly. Because Jackie Robinson's a figure not of sports history, but a figure of American history. And they screamed and chanted, "Here comes Jackie." And then after the funeral, we drove back together in a limousine. And we talked about the whole sweep of his life. By this time, he was blind in one eye and going blind in the other eye. And I wound up that talk. I first asked him if he thought God had given him a special cross to bear. And he said, "Yes, we have had a special cross to bear." And then I asked him how he'd characterize his life. And he said, "We've had a great life. So much done, so much yet to be accomplished." Just a few months later, Jackie died. He never knew it. Had he lived another year, both of his legs would have had to be amputated. But when you think of Jackie Robinson, you think of the United States. So much accomplished. So much yet to be done. He was the most unconquerable man I ever knew.
Thank you for talking to us, Howard.
The preceding program was made possible by a grant from the Ohio Department of Education.